Hey everybody, it's John Corelli, your average guy with his average guy opinions. Today is February 3rd. I'll probably get this out on the 5th, though. My cat is blocking my light because that's the type of cat he is, as many of you have watched some of these videos know. Um, I'm about to throw him. He just loves to be a dick sometimes. I've been out all day at work, so he gets a little pissy because I haven't been here to pay attention to him. So this may be a dark video because he's taking up the window light. Um, Episode 36. I've been asked to talk about movies a little bit by some of my friends. I will let's see. Let's start off with this. This is kind of a cool thing, a brush with greatness, if you will. My aunt, her name's Joanne Corelli, she was the executive producer for The Deer Hunter, one of the biggest successes in box office history, not to mention Film of the Year in 1978, I believe. And she also was the executive producer for Heaven's Gate, one of the biggest bombs in history. A lot of younger people don't know about Heaven's Gate, but people my age and older know about Heaven's Gate. And then the third one she did was not a very successful movie either, called The Sicilian, with was it Christopher Lambert, whoever the guy that was in that was miscast in the Highlander movies. So yeah, so that's her trifecta of movies. Yeah, okay, come on. Well, don't be that. So there's my cat. As you know, that's Boba Pet. So she she really doesn't deal with the family, which is probably a smart move on her behalf. She moved out to California in the 70s and kind of hooked up with Michael Cimino, who directed all three of the movies I mentioned. I don't know if he got Best Director that year or not, but I'm quite sure that Deer Hunter got Best Film. Really put De Niro on the map. For anyone that didn't know Robert De Niro, put Christopher Walken, John Savage on the map. It's a pretty incredible movie. It really is good. And then came Heaven's Gate. Yeah, so just to get the timeline right, Deer Hunter was 78. Heaven's Gate was 1980. And then Sicilian came out 7 years later, which was kind of their attempt at a recovery project after what happened with Heaven's Gate. And I'll explain that, try to explain that quickly, because we don't want a whole history of the film industry. But this is an interesting thing that happened. So Heaven's Gate was a movie about a squatters movement that happened, I believe, in Nebraska or Wyoming. I think it was shot in Wyoming. And Michael Cimino is really known for getting all the shots and putting a lot of money into a movie and hopefully getting a lot out of it, which he did with Deer Hunter. Unfortunately, with Heaven's Gate, this ended up, the director's cut is 3 hours, 40 minutes long. And it kind of just almost devolves into a Western, but he makes you understand that these are people of Eastern roots. But I mean, he just goes so long into the storytelling and so what? But to make, I'm sorry, I'm not really making a long story short at this point. But he, I don't know how much he spent, but he spent way more than the movie made. And if you do it again, you're out. Seriously, stop it. Don't get pissy with me. He's a jerk, isn't he? So sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, and don't chew on the aloe plant either, dummy. So what happened was this film almost, I think it almost destroyed United Artists, or it didn't destroy it because it was still around after that. But United Artists was literally a unification of artists. It was directors and producers who got together after the Red Scare in the 1950s, when McCarthyism tried to basically blow out any Jewish people, any people with supposed communist ties in Hollywood, and it really made this United Artists necessary. They had to grasp onto each other and just get together and form, kind of circle the wagons, really. And so United Artists almost was destroyed because of this. Because what happened was directors originally were given money by the producers, by the film studios, and said, "Hey, we trust you. You have a vision. You've proven yourself in the past, whether it's through film school or actually making us money as a director in the past. And here's what's the budget, what's the expected outcome as far as profits." And you got to understand also, this is just as Star Wars was becoming a franchise. There were no such thing as franchise movies yet. These like, you made a movie, you made your money, you went on to the next thing. So Heaven's Gate was a box office bomb, and for about 2 decades after that, film critics would still once in a while you'd see like a big movie come out like Waterworld and think, oh, this is going to be a bomb of Heaven's Gate type proportions. A lot of people are like, what does that mean? And it's like it means that yeah, it's a bomb of Heaven's Gate type proportions that brought United Artists to its knees, and it changed the game in Hollywood. The directors were not given the money anymore and less creative control. And the producers started to take that over. That's why you get producers oh, what's his name? Weinstein getting a lot of power. A lot of those guys started to get that because they were the ones wielding the money and the power. And unfortunately, the creative power, producers aren't creators, directors are, actors are, writers are. So that's what ended up happening from that. So I'm actually related to that person. She has done fine. She somehow has at least financially come out unscathed. She lives in the Hamptons. She somehow absorbed Michael Cimino's estate, which was worth millions and millions of dollars when he died a couple years ago. I am really trying to get her to read my book and hopefully turn it into a screenplay. I would love that. Or I'd love just her to throw me $1 million when she dies. She's in her late 70s now, so Aunt Joanne, if you see this, I don't want you to die, but I would love you to be a part of your estate. So, but I've never met the woman. Apparently, she saw me when I was a baby in 1967, 1968, and that was pretty much it, as far as I know. And like I said, California, movie career, success, boom. Now she's back in New York in the Hamptons, and there you go. So it was a little longer than I wanted to spend on that, but. So I was asked to talk about movies in the 70s and 80s that I loved, and I got 3 minutes to get onto that. So 70s movies, really wasn't into them very much. 80s movies, I got it. 80s, 77, you got Star Wars, right? Yeah, that's great. 1980, I was 12 years old, saw Empire Strikes Back, and that's when I really, I'm not going to say became a movie person, because we'll get into that in part two, but it captured my imagination. I had dreams about being in lightsaber duels with Darth Vader when I was 12, 13 years old. And I couldn't wait for Return of the Jedi to come out, and I still am in love with the first three movies of that franchise. So that, I guess that's, I was kind of asked what shaped my taste in movies. I can tell you that I am really, here's what's shaping my taste in movies the last 20 years is fuck comic book movies and fuck Marvel and fuck DC. I know that's not a popular sentiment, especially with people under 40, but I don't like it. It's changed the game to me negatively. Transformers movies, I haven't seen one of them. I've seen Deadpool. I've seen Deadpool 2 because my kid wanted to. I've seen a couple, but I haven't, I don't, you know, these fanboys that go to these movies and have so much impact. And that's where it changed the game with Star Wars, in my opinion, too. Fanboys started having influence over creators, especially in comic book movies. And now it happened with Star Wars, and it may have messed up Episode 9. I'm kind of convinced it did. When you have the fans telling the directors what to do, and instead of the directors doing their own research, everything's a market game now, and it sucks. A lot of the art is gone, and that's a bummer. Yeah, you're about to be gone too. Here, come here. Yeah, I love you, but that's 3 strikes and you're out, cat. So, but yeah, I don't really watch a lot of movies anymore. I got spoiled, and I'll talk about this in part two, because I worked in a movie theater for 8 years of my life, met my wife in a movie theater. My first son was born while I was working in a movie theater. But you get to a point where you are watching so many movies for free, you're like an addict, and eventually you just got to cut it off. My low point was I saw RoboCop 3 after work. Some of us watched it, had some spare popcorn, got a couple free sodas, and I was like, this is a horrible movie. And now it's not just about saving money, it's about saving time. Because that 90 minutes I just spent watching that, I could have been sleeping. It's a horrible movie. And that's where you come to say, hey, maybe I'll just become an art house guy. I'm not quite an art house guy, but I really am. Most mainstream movies I'm not interested in all. A couple of movies I've seen recently that I really liked. Black Klansman, which isn't even that recent. That's like a 3-year-old movie. Love Whiplash. Some of the younger actors I like are Michael B. Jordan, Miles Teller, of course Adam Driver. I think there's a really good crop of actors that are entering their 30s or in their early 30s. I think there's some really good actors out there, and I think hopefully they'll get roles that have some punch to them and not just be in every comic book movie that comes out. And hopefully people start watching those movies. Okay, so that's part one. I'll get back to get back to you with part two, with some other stuff about my taste in movies, and hopefully I'm answering the questions I was asked. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your support, appreciate your viewership and your subscriptions to the channel. And I will also give some shout outs to other people that I think you should watch, other creators. Talk soon. Thank you. Bye.